really great to be with you all this evening. Yeah, I want to delve a little bit deeper into the murkier waters of what we really mean by high-performance culture. So just picking up on Ben's point, we're talking not just high performance, which could be done by an individual, we're talking high-performance culture. And so what are the key things in a high-performance culture? Ben sort of started setting these out, and I want to build a little bit further on two key things, the crazy goal concept, the ways of working. Crazy goals, having that clarity is so important to high performance. As individuals, it's the foundation of a high-performance mindset, having that clarity of purpose of what you're trying to achieve. For an organization, it's the foundation of a high-performance culture. If you have a shared vision of what you're trying to achieve, an excited vision, one you're connected to, one that you know you can contribute to and play a really kind of key part in. This is a complex, dynamic beast when we start dealing with organizational cultures. How do we work out what our cultures are in our different organizations? Because it's actually quite different, and it's quite difficult to work it out. It's different in every team we're in, it's different in every organization. And I think sometimes people are put off from kind of going there because it's not quite measurable and it's quite hard to put in a spreadsheet. But it matters. It affects the bottom line. There is an ever-increasing long list of organizations who suffer on the bottom line from cultural stuff that's gone wrong. Often we have a really clear sense of what we want to happen, the intention, the values on the wall, the mission statement on the website, but then there can be a gap between what's articulated and then what's actually happening down on the ground. And we get in that gap in Willet. We want to find out what's happening. As Aid was saying, we want to understand the organizations so we can help close that gap. It's really important. We need to stop thinking about cash flow, and we need to think about human flow. I thought, I like that. That's nice, isn't it? And in order to get a better cash flow, we ought to be thinking about the human flow. So it's win-win. If we kind of get this stuff right, it helps the bottom line. But if we only focus on the KPIs all the time, well, they don't actually shift. And we know that productivity has been flatlining for decades now. So we've got to do something different. And I like this concept of thinking about, let's focus on the human flow. We watch those kind of fantastic sporting performances when people are able to really do amazing things. They're both body and mind working together. So wouldn't it be great if we all do that? If we don't just go, oh yeah, I can watch it on the telly when the Olympics is on, but then in everyday life that doesn't happen to me. There's no reason why it shouldn't be happening to all of us. It's a great feeling to have. It's a great place to be. And we spend a lot of time talking about how can you be at your best? How can you find out what it's like to be in that point where you're super productive, where you're mentally and physically really kind of at the top of your game? It's one of the kind of areas that we focus on in leadership programs and performance programs, because this stuff matters. It gets you great results. So why wouldn't we start talking about that a bit more? It's really kind of how we get under the skin, I guess. We're not afraid to talk about how we operate. When we worked in the Olympic team, as Ben often talks about, as I often talk about, we didn't just discuss what our own technique was like. We discussed how we were as teammates, how we supported each other, how we were thinking, how we were communicating off the water as well as on the water. And it's having these conversations that, we come into organizations and do. It's sometimes a little bit uncomfortable. But boy, does it release a lot of energy and a lot of productivity. And in Aid's case, you can see once they got into this, let's talk about how we work, suddenly there's a huge momentum. And that's a really fantastic thing to see kind of come alive in organizations. The goal isn't comfort, the goal is performance. Sure, we don't want people to be, afraid or anything like that, but, high-performance cultures are dynamic, they're edgy, they're vibrant, they're people-centered, and they're performance-driven. So there's a very sort of much over-quoted sort of cliche, I guess, of management speak by Peter Drucker, I think is the one associated with in the 80s or the 90s, where he said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Well, in my mind, it doesn't just eat strategy for breakfast. It determines the digestion that we have throughout the day, and culture determines the health of our mind and our body. And it's great fun to be working with. Thank you very much for listening.